gonna talk about the Joker. Well, Joker, not the Joker. I think that's another movie. But anyway, so we're gonna talk about Joker. It's a American psychological thriller. It's a pretty wild. It's a ride, man.
It's definitely out there. I mean, when you're watching it, I've only seen it the one time. When you watch the film, you definitely look at the problem with mental health. I mean, it really not makes you feel so much sorry for the Joker, in my opinion, but it makes you feel like you get why he is the way he is. You know what I mean?
It definitely makes you feel some type of way.
It's a trip. It is definitely a different kind of movie.
Yeah. So it stars Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro. It's sitting right now at 69% on Rotten Tomatoes with an audience score of 88%, which is pretty impressive that the critics and the audience score are so. I mean, they're pretty close. So I mean, it seems like a well liked movie. I think it's the highest grossing rated R film right now.
I believe so. Comic wise, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that is impressive is being that it's a DC movie, and I'm a DC fanatic, but to me, I don't know about you, to see DC come out here and actually make a movie that people found relevant because
Their last content, most of their content is not so hot.
it's not. I mean, I think part of the problem with that is, they focus on Batman, they focus on the Joker, they focus on the same stuff, but that being said, even though it is a movie about a Joker, because we don't know if this is the Joker that will play in the next movies.
Ooh, I like where you're going.
But I think it was a fresh feel to the character, man. I mean, and I like that it was like it wasn't this crazy. Like, my one pet peeve with Marvel is that everything's so fluffy. Like, this thing felt real. Like, you felt like you could see a guy lose his shit and be this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this dude definitely lost his shit. This is a very accurate statement. This dude lost his shit. So it stars, like I said, Joaquin Phoenix. He plays Arthur Fleck and Joker. Also, you have Robert De Niro, who plays Murray Franklin. He's like a late night show comedian host. This movie, like we said before, like the people really like it. It's made in the box office. It's sitting at $1.6 billion. I think it brought in, which is pretty impressive. So with that, we'll jump into a little summary on the movie. The movie's set in 1981. It kind of revolves around this guy. He's an aspiring stand-up comedian, and he suffers from an illness, pathological laughter, I believe is what it's actually called.
I believe so. It
I'm not a
had
doctor,
a certain
so
diagnosis
I don't know.
behind it, but
Yeah.
pretty much his problem is stuff that he finds hilarious. He can't tell people because he breaks into this hysterical laughter and no one knows why. So most people that see him kind of look at this guy like he's a nut, and in a way, he is. He's got these psychological problems, and when you look back after watching the full movie and you see that the trauma didn't just happen one day, you look back and you find out that when he was a young kid and adopted, that he was beat. His adopted mother had psychological problems. I mean, it really opened up your eyes to being like, damn, man, like, how did this kid not turn out like this?
Yeah. And so, movie pretty much, it starts off with him. He's sitting back, and like I said, he's a aspiring comedian and a party clown. So he goes through, and it just kind of follows him through his little normal everyday life, and he ends up going. He's performing at that party, right? Oh, that's after he gets the gun.
No,
So
yeah.
One of the guys, he's standing outside. He's standing up there with his sign.
He's waving a sign for a business that's going out of
Yeah,
business.
yeah. And then those kids come up and they beat the hell out of him. They steal his sign, beat the hell out of him, and then it cuts to another scene where he's sitting in I guess their little
Their office.
their little common area, and one of the his coworkers offers him a gun, and then so he takes this weapon, and he has no idea. You can see little like as the movie goes on in the beginning, he has no idea how to use that thing, and he accidentally
shoots a hole.
Yeah, he shoots like a hole in the wall. Has a negligent discharge, and
well, and then I think the other thing was he's actually, because he was held on charges before, he's not allowed because of his diagnosis to own a gun.
Oh,
so
I didn't even catch that part.
Yeah, that's a quick part when they're talking, when he's actually trying to hand him a revolver. Yeah, he tells him, I'm not allowed to own a gun.
Oh,
I can't have one.
I missed it.
But as you keep watching the movie, you start to see this guy tell you that you find out that he gave him the gun because they're trying to get rid of him because no one likes him at their work.
Yeah, except for that little guy.
Yeah, except
for the little guy's his boy. Seems like
they have a midget in the film that actually ends up being like the only person that was never rude to him.
Yeah, and so it goes on, and he has the gun, and he's performing at a children's hospital, and during the performance he drops the gun, and it falls out, and everybody sees it. So he ends up getting a call from his agent, gets fired, everything like that, and then that's when he jumps on that the subway.
Yeah,
and so he sees these
Wayne Enterprise.
With the Wayne Corporation, some employees from there, and they're harassing this woman, and he's sitting there, and he just starts laughing, and then it draws their attention away from her to him, and then they end up fighting, and he ends up, to protect himself, he ends up shooting them, killing all three of them.
Yeah,
and then he runs off, and you could tell that he's never felt that type of power, and he liked it. And then the movie goes on, and he goes in, he finds a letter, and his mom kind of freaks out on his mom, and he already has kind of a strange relationship with his mom already, and we kind of jumped over that part of it, but he has a little bit of a weird relationship with his mom. And then he finds that his mom left a letter, and that she was writing to Mr. Wayne. I guess she was an employee of his in the past, but she suffers, like we said, from mental illness, and she is where she is now. But something about him being his illegitimate son, and so Arthur, he freaks out, and he's upset because he doesn't know why she didn't tell him and all that stuff. And then it goes into after that. Well, he meets that girl too on the
in the elevator.
Well, they don't really. Well, they meet, and
we'll talk about that.
Yeah, they meet, and then
I think the other thing about the letter too is he doesn't know whether he should believe his mom either.
Yeah,
because he knows his mom is sick as well.
Yeah.
So he has all these questions like, is this letter true? Is this letter true? And I think even then, at this moment, he's still coping with this power that he had. He's never, one, killed somebody.
Yeah.
And two, ever been in control. He's always been like the bad end of the joke, you know what I mean? Getting his ass kicked, getting all these cruel things happening to him. So finally, when he felt like he got to do something cruel to somebody else, it felt great, Yeah. And I think a key point that really kind of shows you turning him, and like we said, we don't know if he's going to be the Joker, but turning into that point is when he's talking to his therapist for the last time before the state cuts funding.
Yeah.
And he's like, you ask me the same questions.
All the time.
All the time. And you ask me if I have negative thoughts. And I always have negative thoughts. He's like, but you didn't hear me.
Yeah.
He says, growing up, I thought I was invisible. I didn't even know if I was really here. But now I know that I am here. And people see it.
Yeah.
Everybody sees it.
Yeah. And then it just goes on, like, as the movie progresses, like it's just one bad thing after another with this, and so it comes down to it. He ends up he shoots those ones, and that's really it after that. And until the big guy who gave him the gun comes over, because he's kind of, the boss is kind of looking at him and about those murders.
Yeah.
And so he wants to know what told the police and all that stuff. Well, he ends up killing them, and before that he had gotten an offer to get on that show, his favorite show with Robert De Niro, who was Murray Franklin.
Yeah.
He goes on the show, and that doesn't go well. He ends up capping Franklin. He shoots that dude. Which is funny too because in that scene, it's really strange because they bleep out the word "fuck."
Yeah,
but they show the part where the dude gets shot in the head. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's odd.
I think like a key moment that happened that kind of should coexist with him being on the show. It's not the first time he was on the show.
Oh yeah, because he has that
he was a
fantasy of being on the show or something.
Yeah, so he has in his mind he's been on the show. He was a guest once before.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not too sure. Maybe somebody else could say. I don't know. I thought he was a guest on the show, and he talks about his situation, how he lives with his mom. And at first, the crowd kind of laughs at him, and you kind of seen that that mean demeanor come over his face, like he's like ready to take someone out. And then
and I thought that was all in his head,
and it could be. I thought it was something that he really went through. And so when you're when I was watching the scene again, it goes back to him kind of showing Joker moments when people laughed at him because he lived with his mom. Yeah, you saw him that glare, really good care of her. Yeah, he's like I glare, like he glared at her, man. That's my girl. Like glares at her and is like showing like people like, hey, don't say anything, because he's always throughout the movie constantly being like, don't talk about my mom, don't talk about my mom. Yeah. But then you see him like a bit of humanity in him when De Niro tells him, hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I lived with my mom too. Yeah, before I made it.
But remember that's why I was like, oh, this is all in his head, because remember after like Franklin or De Niro, like he pulls him aside, he's like, oh, my son.
He's like, I'd give all this up, all the lights, all the bullshit up for a kid like you.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, that's why this is all in this dude's head. This dude is nuts.
And I mean, he really is. He's out of it. Like the part we kind of briefly touched on is there's a female that he meets in an elevator, and they share like a brief moment. Literally, because the elevator somewhat breaks down, and she makes this gesture of like
shooting herself, and he's really awkward in the elevator too, because he doesn't say anything. He just kind of looks at her, and then when he gets out, he like goes full blown, like to reenact what she did.
So he jumps out of the elevator and says, "Hey," and so she looks at him, and this dude puts an imaginary gun in his head and like over exaggerates.
Yeah. And she just kind of gives him like a little smirk. And he's like, that is the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
He's
like hands down, man. And then like my buddy Cody throughout time, he imagined that this girl was his girlfriend for the rest of the movie.
She was my girlfriend, alright?
We weren't just friends. No, but really this guy, I mean, through.
Yeah, he gets it. Like, she's there for him in all these times when
crazy scenes.
And I thought that's why, like, I think you were supposed to find out later that it wasn't true, but I kind of caught on. Like, I don't know. To me, it just seemed odd because he goes up to her room and then like knocks on the door after he caps those people.
Yeah,
and he just goes in there and they just like
start going at it.
They just go at it like they're having sex, and like I was just like, "There's no freaking way. This dude is so weird." I was like, "There's no way.
There's no way she's going for it." Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it was one of those cheesy moments that DC often has.
Yeah. But well, I mean, it fell into. I mean, it was good because it wasn't real. Yeah. If it would have been real, I think that's where.
I think it would have been worse. Then we would have went back and said, "What? Man, like this dude really got this girl after he just done fucking killed 3 people?
Yeah,
like what?"
Well, I mean, I guess she doesn't know. So
she wouldn't. I mean, he was only bloody, you know. But,
yeah. But anyway, so he ends up shooting Robert De Niro, and then he gets arrested, and then there's a riot in the street, and they are not necessarily one of his supporters, but somebody he's influenced that's taking parts in these riots, and they smash into the car, they pull him out, and then he gets to see everything he's done. And then he's like, he starts feeling good. He gets on top of the car, starts dancing and everything. And then some other dude, Wayne comes out of or Bruce Wayne's dad comes out of the theater with his family. And again, we get to see that iconic Batman's parents die again.
Bruce
We've seen that a million times.
Batman.
Yeah. and then after that, he goes to, it cuts to him in the
psych ward.
Yeah, the psych ward. Yeah. And he starts laughing, and the lady's like, "What's so funny?" And he's like, you wouldn't get it. But he's
Yeah,
like, he's
yeah.
thinking about the fact that he inspired that dude to kill Wayne's family, and then it cuts to him walking out of the room, and he's got the bloody feet. So you're like, oh, I don't know, but I'm like, I mean, he obviously did something to her. He hurt her or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, and then it's sort of, and that's kind of where it shows him doing the Scooby Doo, running through the
Yeah, running through,
they're chasing him.
pulling a Joker pretty
Yeah.
much, running through trying to get out.
And that's kind of that's where it ends. But I mean, so that's just the story. We were all kind of all over the place.
We kind of gave you different moments of the story.
Yeah, but that's it.
General gist of the movie, you know.
But what I mean, so what did you think? What did you think overall, like about like? Did you?
So I know you don't agree with me because we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but I really loved the movie, and I loved it because different reasons. I like that in some kind of twisted way. This is a villain that we could see in everyday life. Like people really suffer this kind of illness, and all it takes is somebody going to that moment and saying like, "I've had enough. I've been picked on. I've been bullied," because he really has his whole life, And I think from there, what really kept me going was he didn't even care about the movement that he
created. He thought it was great. He loved that.
And I think in the end he loved it, but I think in the beginning he was like, when they asked him about politics, he's like, I'm not into it. I don't believe in anything. Which is that Joker moment of he doesn't believe in anything. He just believes in being Joker.
Yeah. Well, and I think a big thing too is like, and this kind of goes into one of those theories, like the whole is this the actual Joker? Because that theory has been floating around the internet like crazy. Is this dude the actual Joker, or is this somebody who inspired the Joker? Because if you look at it, and I kind of see it, and that's where, like, for me, the movie was, I don't know how I felt about the movie. I don't know whether I liked it or I didn't like it. To me, like, I don't know, he didn't feel like the Joker to me. Like, I don't know, just the way his character, like, the movie was really, it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. It just didn't seem like at points in time, like I forgot that I was watching a movie about the Joker. Like it just seemed like a story about a dude with mental health who lost his shit. Which, I mean, I guess is really what they wanted. Yeah. But the director, Todd Phillips, he said that like he intentionally left it ambiguous to whether or not Fleck is the real Joker, or if he inspired another one. And with DC, they've confirmed as of 2016 that there's 3 Jokers. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know where we are. And the thing is, with this movie is, it seemed it was regular DC fashion, man. For me, it's like it's kind of like, where are we in the DC universe? And I think that they left it that way because DC doesn't know where they're going with it. You know what I mean? Like, is this dude the Joker? Is he not? I have no idea. He doesn't. DC doesn't even know if he's the Joker.
Oh yeah, and that's something we always touch on. That's where DC lacks. Yeah. If they just had, and I always tell you this, if they just had somebody that from their animated series that does their storyline jump on with their live action, I think we would have a better action. I like it because I think we always talk about DC's the dark image of superheroes. Yeah. And that's why I think for this movie, they finally went that route. Like, I think all DC movies should be rated R.
Yeah, and I agree because DC is like that. It has that gritty. They're like the comics are they're geared more towards adults, in my opinion. Just like where you have Marvel, where it's more of a family.
It's like the fluff.
Yeah, and you watch any of their animated things, and they're really dark, they're really gritty, and kind of they're not meant for kids. And then the same thing with their comics, everything like that. And that's where like I don't know what I'm looking for in a Joker movie, I guess, because like that's what I want out of DC, and I felt like they haven't done that. But then they did it with this movie, and then I'm still like, dang, I don't know, he didn't feel like the Joker to me.
And I feel like a lot of people, the reason they felt that way is because they wanted to see Batman. But with the timeline that they put, and I'm not saying you necessarily, but I mean, like a lot of people I've talked to were like, well, it's a Joker movie and it doesn't have Batman. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to have Batman because you're not talking about Batman. We're talking about Joker.
Yeah, and well, it goes back to like the same thing with Star Wars. Is like every Star Wars movie, you want to see somebody using the Force. You want to see somebody with a lightsaber. But like Rogue One, like it just wasn't part of the story really, and they still put it in there. But you know, and I mean, technically, Batman was in the movie. It just wasn't.
It just wasn't at Batman. Yeah,
that part is weird though too, because he goes up to him and he puts his fingers in his mouth and like makes him smile. It's like, oh man, you're a smoker, dude. Like you got those big, fat, nasty fingers in my kid's mouth. You gotta get out of here, man. You're a weirdo. But to me, he just didn't. I don't know. He didn't give off that Joker vibe, and like he definitely like he just wasn't any Heath Ledger to me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I did get the whole. I did take away from the movie like he is similar to the Joker in what is it, The Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises? What is that one that Heath Ledger's in?
Yeah, that's the
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And so in that movie, there's like a specific part where he's a rebel without a cause. Like he doesn't have a plan. He's just like doing stuff to do it. And he's like some people just want to watch the world burn. Like you can see that in this movie.
You really can.
Yeah.
Another thing I really liked was, of all people, Joaquin Phoenix. You know, you think there's so many of these actors out there that you could pick, and they picked Joaquin Phoenix. And at first I was like, well, you know, he kind of can play that mean role. You know, he looked like he's played those roles in the past where he looks like a tough guy. But then you see him in this, and he's like super skinny.
He lost like 50 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, like you can see his ribs.
He looks nasty.
It made you cringe kind of when you looked at him and you were like, "Damn, man, it's kind of." And when you watch the cartoons and stuff like that, the Joker's this real super skinny guy, and he's just a nut. You know what I mean?
Did you notice in this movie too? Like every scene in this movie, like everything just looks so gross.
It just like, dirty.
It just looks dirty and nasty. Yeah.
And I think that's a part of what made me draw to this movie too, because it just made you think like, how could this person not be fucking crazy?
Oh yeah, definitely. And
like his house was dirty, even though he cleaned. His house was dirty. His job was dirty.
Yeah, it's just a dirty.
He smoked, and it like everything was just gross. You know, he just was not a.
Well, then it has like that real deep like this movie has like that political vibe to it too, because they're trying to show like the voiceless people of Gotham, like the downtrodden. You know what I mean? The lower classes against the upper class, and then you have Wayne over here saying like, you know, we're all family, like everybody, and they're like, how are you gonna say that when you're living up there at the top? And then and that's what I think sparks these riots. You know what I mean? And like it has that deep political vibe of.
And then you hit that moment where Wayne says, "We, the people doing the right thing," implying Wayne Enterprises will always look at foolish people like this as clowns.
I was like, dang man, like if a politician said that today, could you imagine the backlash
it'd be unreal. They'd be done. But that clown remark takes you back to the Joker, because then, and really, you know, that was his job. He was a clown on the side. So I mean, I think that just struck even more. And then when we went over our brief all over the place summary about him going back on that talk show for real this time, it's probably his most sane moment that he's ever had in the entire movie. When you sit there and he's straight up says he's like, well, I've had a couple of rough weeks, you know, it all started killing those 3 guys on the subway. And
well, he tells that guy, he's like, I did something bad. And the guy's kind of like, what? Okay. And then he's like, I thought I'd feel really bad about it, or I thought it'd really bother me. But it doesn't.
So you were like, what? So,
okay.
So then you get him on this talk show, and he's on live television. He's like, yeah, I killed these 3 guys.
Oh, yeah, he just comes out and says it, too.
So then De Niro's like, it's not a funny joke.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not joking. And he's like, just kind of stunned. He's like, so you're telling me you killed him? Why should we believe you? Because I don't got anything to lose. And then they kind of, he starts this whole like judgment thing on Joaquin Phoenix's character, and he kind of hits this point where he's like, judge, you're gonna judge me? He was like, "How dare you? You played those clips of me,
Yeah.
making fun of me, and then you bring me on your show to make fun of me."
He's like, like they pretty much made it very clear, like, the dark humor is not okay here. But then they're like showing clips of them making fun of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I got that too. And like the whole them bringing him on there, like that was literally the point of that, was to make fun of this guy. You know what part of that, though, I thought was hilarious is when he's practicing walking in.
Yeah,
like, he's like, how would a confident person walk into this show?
Because he has no confidence.
Yeah. And so he's like in his living room practicing his walk in, and then when he does it finally, he like walks in and he's all over the place. He's dancing and everything. He walks up to that lady and kisses her right in the mouth. She's like, whoa. And then it goes downhill from there.
Yeah. And at that moment, it's like, again, I keep saying this, people probably be like saying it, but that Joker moment, like he sits down on the chair and he's like, I'm here. And then when he gets to the point where he's like, you made fun of me, this and that, like, who do you think you are? And then just pulls out the gun and just like, just fires off at this guy. Then looks at the crowd, looks back at him, and shoots him again. You know what I mean? It just.
What's crazy is like I when I was watching it, because when he was doing those, he planned on implying that he was going to shoot himself. So I never thought he was going to leave that.
Yeah.
Like going into it, I was like, this dude plans to shoot himself in front of everybody. But then it kind of turned and he shot that guy himself. Like, oh.
I kind of going into that last scene, I was looking at it the same way, and I was looking at it like, man, this guy is disturbed. He's. If you look at his notebook from a psychiatrist, where he says, "I hope my death makes more sense as in money
than my life."
Than my life.
And that notebook is rough too, man.
It was crazy. But when you read that, because that's the page that he turns to.
Yeah.
Before he's gonna shoot De Niro, and so in my head I was like, he's gonna kill himself on national television. So because they're getting paid to broadcast. Yeah. So his life's going to make more sense. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, maybe just me overthinking the situation. And the dude pulls out a gun and shoots someone else. I mean, but.
I find it kind of crazy how what they did was in the movie, like, it's great because this dude's a murderer. Like, he's just straight up, he's a killer. You know what I mean?
Once he figures out
once he turns into a killer, once he becomes a Joker, because I think at that point, when he does go to the room and has sex with that girl, like at that point, like he's the Joker. Like he's no longer Arthur Fleck. He's
right,
the Joker.
Right.
And it's weird because you get this, like you can I don't know if you relate to him, but like you feel bad for him, and they turn they turn this guy into he's an anti-hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he really is.
Because you're kind of like, I get why he did what he did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you think about it, like Batman, he took
the same thing.
He just took a different route, and that's the one that we're used to seeing on TV and everything that we see is like he took his tragedy and turned it into, he's still a vigilante, he's still beating the hell out of bad guys,
It's just a different bad guy. It's a former bad guy.
But honestly, it's a more realistic version of what would probably happen. Like, most of the people who come from tragedy don't turn around and become Batman and start beating the hell out of bad guys in the street as a vigilante.
They're not beating other goons up. Yeah. Most likely, they're beating the guys that have money up.
Yeah, and so this dude, he goes the opposite way. He takes his tragedy and runs with it, and it turns him into Joker. Like, it turns him into a killer. And honestly, that's a more realistic version of what would probably happen in real life.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we were saying earlier. It's one of those things where, okay, you take somebody who has a mental illness and sit there and patronize this guy and just bully him. Like, just raw bullying. I mean, he's getting beat up by teenagers. The guy's just, his coworkers are mean to him. Everyone, I mean, that moment in the bathroom when he confronts Bruce Wayne and he's like, why are people terrible people? You're all terrible people.
Yeah.
And he's like, it really does make you have like a realistic view because people are cruel.
Yeah. Well, and like everybody, and that's what it kind of changed the dynamic of the story of what we're used to seeing in Batman, because you always see in, or like, I guess you don't really ever get a lot about Batman's backstory except for that murder, that iconic murder that we've seen a million times,
a million different ways.
Yeah, and honestly, they did it pretty good. Like this one was actually like,
it was more realistic because
when
when you looked at the cause, you know, the riots that he started. I mean, you think that. Well, I think he thinks that I'm doing this for myself. Like, nobody's going to relate to me. No one cares about me because no one has cared about him. And he sees this movement and he sees all these people wearing clown masks and he's like, you know what?
Like, he starts feeling good.
I'm here. The world sees me. I'm the man. And then the scene that you talk about where he's like, hey, you know, they run into the cop car and they kill the police officers, you know, and he's knocked out. They pull him out of the cop car and they lay him on the hood because they're like stand, because they want him to give standing ovation.
Yeah. Well, and then when right before they get hit, the cops like you caused all this, and he was just like sitting in the back seat and he's like looking out the window and he's just like, yeah, I did. He's like, he's proud.
He's like, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Tell me. It's something you would think would really happen. You know what I mean? You see some guy that was like, not even a guy, it could be a woman, you know? Someone that's mentally ill.
Well, like you know, it's that movie Monster, I think. The one, it's about that serial killer, the female serial killer, Charlize.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Well, I mean, she was like, just tired, like she was a prostitute, and she, like, you know, people took advantage of her and probably beat her and did all kinds of stuff. Well, then she turns into a serial killer and starts killing all the Johns, man.
Yeah,
so, like, I mean,
it's the same thing. I mean, except for this guy had no strict like, I'm just gonna be. It was like anybody that had it coming, got it. You know what I mean?
And well, you see that in the movie too. Like, he's a rebel without a cause, you know, but he really only kills the people that wrong him.
Yeah.
You know, if you notice that, like, because you remember when he stabs that dude in the throat, the big guy, but he lets the little guy go.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I kind of wonder if he locked that top lock knowing that guy wasn't going to be able to reach it. But I was like, but then he like kisses him on the head and lets him out. It's like, you're good. You've always been good.
You know what though?
That's messed up, man.
Going back to the scene, if you guys haven't watched it, we're talking about the scene where with the man that gave him the gun from his work. Well, they come to his house because his mom has died, and they're trying to, I guess, do a good deed. I don't know why they would even do it, because the only one that's ever been nice to him was the midget.
Well, I think realistically, they didn't come. Well, the big guy didn't come to check on him. He came to see what he had told the cops.
Well, yeah, and I think he was trying to get him.
You know?
I think he was trying to get him caught up, because you can even see it when he talks about it. He's like, "Well, the cops didn't." When the little guy tells him, "Well, the cops didn't interrogate me," he's like, "Well, they're not looking for a short guy. They're looking for a regular sized man."
Yeah.
And then he looks at him like, you know, you did it. And then you see him and he's like, just has these scissors in the back of his pocket and just pulls them out and just starts stabbing the guy in the throat and smashing his head against the door.
And see, and that part to me seemed really, really Joker.
Yeah, something that he would just flip.
Because, like, you see this little tiny dude, and he takes on that big dude, and not in like a kung fu like Bruce Lee type of way. Like, he just attacks him and comes out on top. And that's like the Joker, man. Like, because Batman's always beating the hell out of him, but he's always beating the hell out of Batman too. You know, so like that part of it seemed. I was like, man,
he's a win at all cost kind of fighter. Yeah. You know, I mean, if he's got a dang pan, and he's gonna hit you with it. You know what I mean? But you know, it's ironic that the one person that was nice to him in the film happened to be this little person, and the guy's freaking out, you know, because he's like, he just sees this man murdered in front of him, and he's like, "You've always been good to me. You can leave." And so I think it was kind of funny. It shouldn't have been as funny, but you know, when he's trying to walk by the dead body to get out the door, you know, he waves his arms all crazy. He's like, "Ah!"
No, he scares him.
And he scares him, and the guy's like, the little guy's just running for the door, and then he locks. This door has like 5 locks on it, and the guy locks the very top lock. The only one he locks is the top lock, and it makes you think, like you said, did he do it intentionally because he knew that?
Yeah, because he wasn't going to be able to reach it.
And then it's just so crazy that, like you said, you know, he really did kill only the people that wronged him. because he told that guy, thank you for being good to me, pretty much, and kissed him on the head and said, "Be on your way.
Have a good day."
Yeah, pretty much like didn't just kill some guy right in front of him.
Yeah. How did you feel about his laugh, man? Because if you notice during the movie, like he has different types of laugh. Like when he's sitting in that the comedy show, he's sitting there taking notes and everything. He's so off cue, so you could see that this dude is like completely out of touch with everybody else around him. Like everybody else around him, they're laughing.
Reality completely.
Yeah, well, they're laughing at the jokes in the appropriate time, like at the punchline of the joke. They're all laughing, and he isn't. You know what I mean? He always laughs off cue, like when the
it takes a second to hit him almost.
Well, no, I was thinking like he just doesn't. He's so out of touch that he doesn't realize like the parts that he thinks is funny aren't funny.
Aren't funny,
and everybody else is.
Well, like the joke he told on the television show where it's like the lady's son got killed by a drunk driver, and he just starts laughing hysterically. You're like, what?
And you're like, that's not funny, man.
He's like, yeah, it's pretty funny, but you're like, what, man? Like,
but you just see how like out of touch he is with everybody else around him. And he busts up laughing like out of cue and everything, and then he like kind of looks up and looks around like, why the hell is nobody else laughing? Like
it's like I'm hilarious.
Yeah, and it like he's just like, I don't understand why they're laughing at this part. You know what I mean? But that's
the punchline.
Yeah,
he just doesn't know it. And it's kind of funny that like back to his laugh when you were asking me, it kind of made you cringe a little when he laughed. So I think that I like that.
Yeah, it's disgusting
because it was just it was a weird laugh. And you're like,
well, he has like different ones. Like he has one that you can like when he thinks he should be laughing. And he has like this, like he's like forcing it out.
Yeah.
And then he has the ones where he thinks are that like I guess what he thinks is funny.
Yeah.
But then the director was saying, Todd Phillips was saying that the only real laugh is the very last one. And like I had read an article about it before I watched the movie, and it was something about why the last scene was so important. But I guess that was his only real laugh. Like everything else was all forced laughs.
I was reading something on that as well, and it's talking about him smiling. That same scene that you're talking about is the only scene that he's truly smiling. It's the only scene that he's truly happy.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're not all forced laughs because he has this forced laugh when he thinks he should be laughing, and then he has his illness where he's laughing because he can't control it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't think it's funny because you can tell when he's doing that, like it's uncomfortable for him, and then he has his forced ones, and those just don't sound natural.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's ever, like, with the Joker, I don't think anybody's ever gone that way with why he laughs like that. Usually it's just
he's just
basic
psychotic.
Joker. Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy that this is the first time that this has ever been explored in that way.
And I thought that was a cool concept, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it really, again, I think DC's starting to figure it out for people that aren't huge comic book fans or animated fans like we are. You got to give a story. People need to relate. People need to understand. Now, necessarily, does everyone want to understand the Joker? I don't think so. But for me, I mean, it was great. I like that this Joker wasn't just this fluffy character that was I'm going to try and kill people. No, this dude kills people in the comics,
Yeah.
That's just his lifestyle. But it was nice to see how that lifestyle came about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I still don't think, though, like, honestly, like, I can kind of get on board and I get on board with the theory that he's not the real Joker. First off, like, I don't think him and Bruce, because Bruce being in this movie, he's like a young boy. Like, he can't be more than, 10 years old, maybe?
If that.
And Arthur, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because how rough he looks.
He looks like he's in his 40s already.
40, yeah. But,
I just think it's too far of a timeline because for
him then to actually
Bruce Wayne to turn into Batman.
Because by the time Bruce
Wayne
Wayne,
like in his late 60s, which I mean, I guess he could be a fighter, but I mean, it just doesn't seem
beating
like
the hell out of a 60-year-old man. Like, come on, Batman, what's wrong with you?
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
You're
sick. And that just goes back to DC pulling we don't care what timeline we're in. We're just giving you a movie.
And that's my thing with DC is like. Marvel stays so consistent in their content. Like, for with all their movies, and not even counting their comics, but like just their movies in general. For what? How long have they been going on? Like 15 years. There's like 700 movies now, but they're all consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're consistent. Like this happens, this happens, this happens, and you can break it down in the timeline. This is where it is, and it all makes sense together. DC is all over the place, man. It's like a buckshot from a shotgun. You're like, well, what story am I following today? What story is DC
that went off
going
to the
with
left,
today?
but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they're in the right. I think, like I told you, they're in the right step as far as giving us character background. You know, they've done great with Wonder Woman so far. They've done great with. I like Shazam. A lot of people didn't. We could talk about that another time. But I think DC's starting to understand. Let's give a darker feel to these characters as opposed to, for instance, Thor. The worst part about Thor is he's unworthy, so he can't lift his hammer.
Oh, he's drunk too.
Oh, he's drunk too, but I mean, okay, now let's talk about.
He's a drunk man. That dude drinks like
Yeah.
he's only got that big old beer belly.
But then you look to like newer references of DC when you look at Wonder Woman. You take this lady who's never left an island. All she knows is her whole life is this island. She goes to the world and she finds out that the world is a terrible place. It's more realistic. It's more dark. It's not just this like, oh, give her a pat on the back. It's okay. It's like, no. She sees how terrible people are. And I think that's the route DC's trying to go, which I personally approve. I think that's the way I would like to see more superhero movies. And me seeing that makes me more interested in seeing all this magical feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I feel like I'm unpleasable in this situation because, like, I wanted that dark, gritty movie because DC never, ever provides it. And they never come out with rated R movies, which I feel like most DC movies should be rated R. But then they did it, and I was just like, I don't know. And so, like, I'm like, maybe it's me. But I love DC's animated stuff is great, man. It's fantastic. I love the Joker. Like, he's one of my favorite villains. And just because he has no
boundaries.
Yeah, he's no boundary. Like, he just does what he does. He has no reason. He's not just a bad dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then, like, so I can't say that. Like, well, maybe I just don't like the maybe I don't like the character. But like,
do you think you would come to terms? Do you think you would come to like terms with it if you find out later that they say they're doing a Joker too, but this Joker is the Joker that was influenced by this movie? You think you would feel like, okay, I like the movie a little better, or no?
Yeah, because I think a big part of it, what the biggest part of the movie that turned me off was I just didn't like Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Like, he just didn't have that. I don't know. He just
and I liked him as a Joker. I mean, I think to me because he looked creepy.
Yeah,
he's like I think of it this way. Imagine seeing the Joker in real life. Do you picture the Joker?
I could totally fucking take that dude.
One
on one, I could take the Joker.
I think he'd kick your ass.
Yeah, I could take the Joker, dude.
He'd whoop your ass. That's how it'd be, man.
I'd kick him right in the shin.
He'd probably laugh. but I mean, just imagine, realistically, imagine seeing this Joker character in real life. Like, that shit would mess with you. You'd be like, you wouldn't go up to the guy like, hey, how you doing? You know, you'd be like, oh, get away from me. And that's
I don't know what situation you think I would be in where I'm gonna meet the Joker.
I feel like you'd be more realistically to see the Joker before me. I don't like being scared. You like being scared. That's just how it goes. I want to live. I want to be happy. You want to look for a death sentence. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I don't know what situation you would think I would be where I'm going to meet the Joker. That's insane.
I don't know. You're kind of more of the rebel out of the two of us.
I don't know. But I think that was the biggest thing that turned me off to it. Is just, I think Joaquin Phoenix did a great job playing the type of character that he was playing. Like, I think the acting was good. It was a great performance. It just wasn't the Joker.
It just wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't for a lot of people because a lot of people wanted this. And I'm not saying you're like a lot of the other views, but most people wanted that Batman versus Joker view. As to where I just wanted to see, like, hey, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, Why is he crazy? You know what I mean? And I think that's why it drew me in so much.
I, and that's what they kept talking. Like it was a character study, and this movie's a lot like. I mean, it was kind of based off of it. Was Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro.
Yeah, yeah.
And it like kind of follows that exact
It really does.
movie. And that's sort of like, I don't want to say it was a ripoff, but it was like too heavily inspired by that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying is like he just seemed like a crazy dude who snapped. Like if they took out the fact that this dude was the Joker out of the movie, like this movie could still work as a standalone movie that had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
And I don't know, I guess just like his mannerisms and things like that just didn't seem like what. I guess I'm looking for the animated type Joker. Like I want Mark Hamill to be my Joker, but not in person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he just fit what I was looking for. Is like, especially at that time frame, because like if I'm looking for a Joker in our time frame, I'm looking more at like a Jared Leto style Joker, because that's what I picture in today's society. Guy that's all tatted up, pretty much a thug, you know what I mean? But if I'm looking at this time frame, I'm looking at a guy that's like insecure, doesn't really know what's going on in his life, and he's just kind of snapped.
I was so pumped about the Jared Leto Joker until I watched the Jared Leto Joker, and then I was like, what this shit? And like I was so pumped up, and I was kind of even on board with the tattoos. He looked like Lil Wayne, and like with all his tattoos and stuff. Like
he just looks like a modern day Joker, because that's what society is. I mean,
I guess now,
like,
yeah.
Today we live in a society where face tattoos are. So I mean, that's
his
what I
laugh though, and that. It's like, what the hell is that? That was a terrible movie. Now you got me thinking about that movie. But we've had a few. I don't know. I still think Heath Ledger is the best.
I think
Joker
Heath Ledger
we've
did,
had.
but I think he
what's
was
his
all
name?
in on it.
The very first Joker. What was his name?
Jack
Nicholson. That was a good Joker too. He was the man.
I like it. It was good.
I think if they made that movie now with Jack Nicholson at the same age, like if they could go back in time or freeze him in time, come to now and make that movie, he would have been a fantastic Joker.
I don't know, man.
But he's too old now.
I just don't. I'm not a.
He could be like Grandpa Joker.
Yes, he could be Batman Beyond. There you go, that Joker. But I had to. If I had to pick one, Heath Ledger would definitely be my favorite. Jack Nicholson, I don't know. Like I liked it because
Shut your mouth.
it was good, but it wasn't my favorite. I definitely wouldn't go with it.
You shut your filthy mouth.
I think you're out of your damn mind right now when you're saying that he was great. I don't know, man. It's kind of a stretch.
He was.
You're just looking at it because it's like one of the first films they've ever given us that. Realistically.
Didn't Tim Burton direct that?
Yeah.
Tim Burton directed that one,
Yeah,
right?
Tim Burton should come back and do another one. I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little out there, but I liked it. But
Michael Keaton was Batman, right? Michael Keaton.
I just don't think that.
And now we have the Twilight guy.
He's gonna be swole, man. He's gonna come out. He's gonna be jacked. If you can give,
he's gonna be better. You're gonna.
If you're gonna give Jack Nicholson some credit right now for being.
If I give Jack Nicholson credit, that means I have to give Twilight.
You gotta give him a shot. I
don't have to do no such thing.
No, you're out of your goddamn mind now. You just gave a man a shot of like an unrealistic Joker. Freaking walking with his cane with his little freaking spray paint can.
His hat.
Yeah, it's like his freaking girlfriend, half her face burnt off with acid. I mean, come on, man.
So do you remember the old Jokers? The pow.
Yeah, that's kind of where you're hitting me with right now with like in
that Joker was kind of crazy too, though.
Yeah,
I don't even know that guy's name.
But you're out of it, right?
Way before my time.
Jack Nicholson, I feel was a little before our time too. We were pretty young when that came out, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna give that guy a chance, you gotta be open minded to Twilight being all right.
Oh, I don't know. I'll watch it.
I don't know, man. You're pretty hard to please, though. So.
I am.
So I feel like this conversation, like this whole time, I've been trying to like get you on board with this, and you're just like, nah.
Nope.
I don't like it.
No, see, the thing is like I can't say it. I don't know. Like I don't know if I liked it or not. Like I can't give a definite answer. And like I liked what they did where they made it like a lot of the stuff like that girl, for instance, like how she wasn't real this entire time, and they did it just enough in this movie to where like you didn't really notice it, other than that first scene where he walks in and
He's going at it with her.
Yeah, but like because some movies do that,
They
and
overplay it. Yeah.
well, then it gets weird because they're in like a normal conversation, but nobody else is talking to that person.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, person's clearly not real. But they did it just enough to where it made sense. You know what I mean? Like you're like, it's real. Maybe it's not. I like that part of it, and I like that they did. They made him pretty much a rebel without a cause, and you see his spiral and how he turns into who he does and everything like that. I honestly just don't like
Joaquin Phoenix as a Joker.
Phoenix as a Joker, yeah. I just didn't.
That
part didn't do it.
We can beg to differ. I mean, yeah, like I told you, we don't have to agree
to
about it.
disagree.
There we go. Because I liked him, you didn't.
Yeah.
I think he was great. Anyways.
So we'll get to our next segment, wrap this thing up.
Copper Drop.
So this part of our segment is called Copper Drop. So what we're going to go over is a quick rating on what we felt about the movie. I'm going to let Dom drop into that and give you a little more feel on that.
So we're going to do our ratings. It's pretty much a poop shoot to 10. We're going to give it a poop shoot is the movie was absolute garbage, should not have even been made. And then we'll go into 1 through 10 golden nuggets. How many golden nuggets we're going to give this movie? With 1 being, a terrible movie and 10 being a fantastic movie. And then we'll go into our rewatchability, whether we rewatch the movie or not, which we'll get into that.
And at the end of it all, would you cop the movie? Or not watch it again? So I want to hear Dom's ratings. So I'm gonna let my boy go over these ratings real quick. And for those of you guys, I know I've been calling him Dom at the end of it. His real name is Dominic, so I call him Dom or Cody. So it's just kind of back and forth. But I want to hear his ratings because I got a feeling we're really not going to agree on this movie right now.
No, I'm pretty positive that we are not going to agree on this movie. So I don't think it was a poop shoot. I'll give him that. It was a good movie, but with my rating, it's hard because I did like the movie. I like it was a good movie. I just didn't like it as being a Joker, like I said before. So I will give it 5 golden nuggets.
Fair enough. That's better than I thought you were going to give him.
You think so?
Yeah, I thought you were going to give him like a 3 or 4.
Oh no, the movie wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't garbage. Like it was well written. It wasn't a bad movie. It just the Joker part is what killed it for me. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that's spot on it. This movie is a roller coaster. This dude is nuts, but it's not I don't think it's as bad as everybody said it was going to be, but yeah, no, I'll stick with my 5 golden nuggets. And then for my rewatchability, I guess I have to give it a yes because I've watched it like 4 times. Would I watch it again from this point? Yes, I would rewatch. I'd rewatch it.
So all that bitching to say yes, you would rewatch it. that's what you're getting at right now, right?
Yeah.
All that complaining about Joaquin Phoenix just to watch it again.
Well, then it's the same thing. It goes into like the what is it? The Last Jedi. That monstrosity of a
terrible movie, but you.
But I bought the movie. I'd rewatch it.
Yeah, okay.
What about you? What do you think?
For me, I'm not gonna give it a perfect 10 for a golden nugget. Because I do have higher expectations for DC, just so if you're ever going to listen to this DC, you know that there's people in these small towns that want better. But if I did have to give it a rating...
Way to call them out, man.
Yeah, I hope they do. Put me on your damn board already, man. I got good shit here. Just listen to me. If I had to give it, I'd give it an 8. And that's a stretch. I would give it an 8 for different reasons than you. I would give it an 8 if this is the movie that sets up for the real Joker. If it comes back that this movie isn't the setup for the actual Joker, then I'm gonna go with a 6. But I think an 8 as far as it led up to what I think would be a great origin story.
But this movie was supposed to be a standalone movie.
But
Wasn't
no,
it? Like,
it
they're
is.
not
No,
supposed
it
to have a
is. No,
sequel,
but
now they're talking about a sequel, of course.
well, of
Well,
course,
it did so
anytime
well,
some,
yeah,
exactly.
it
How
did
could
well,
you
yeah.
not? But what I'm saying is, I don't even necessarily need him to come back as the Joker.
Oh God, I hope not.
But what I'm saying is, if it influences the actual Joker that Bruce Wayne will battle,
If you know what,
then
honestly,
I think
I could get on board with that. I'm not gonna raise my score, but I could
Because
get on
you're
board
just-
with that. Like, I would like the
you just want to be
movie.
difficult.
No, I would like the movie more. If
But
that
you
was
get what I'm
to
saying,
set-
right?
Yeah. If
That
was
and
to
that's
set
why
up the
that's why I
next
say.
movie, yeah.
So if this is the Joker that's gonna fight Batman, then I'm gonna go with the 6.
I'm still gonna stick with 5.
But as of right now,
Regardless.
because we don't know what's gonna go on, and I don't know, you don't know, I'm giving it an 8, and it's just because I think it's a great setup for something that could be an amazing series in the future.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm gonna go with Cop if I gave it that good of a rating, and I already have Cop the movie, so I'd keep it, man, and I'd watch it again.
You know, one thing we did not discuss that I meant to say it earlier, but man, Bruce's dad's a dick, huh?
Yeah, that's kind of the part I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
It was a little off topic because we're at the end of our show, but I mean,
Yeah, sorry.
for all you people that haven't seen it, yeah, he's kind of an asshole, man, and
I did not like him.
I didn't like him as much as I thought I was supposed to see the light of Gotham. I didn't.
I like the Joker more, and he's a murderer.
Yeah,
But
not gonna lie.
anyway, all right. So, well, that pretty much wraps it up for us tonight.
Not bad for some small town gallant morons, and we may not be famous, but somehow you heard of us.